But let's take a look at the Clark Cup playoffs and some other series, and want to get your input, Pat, in being a part of this league now for years, and being a head coach here for the past 2 years. You got the Sioux Falls Stampede and the Tri-City Storm right now. Tri-City up 2-0. What do you think the difference in that series is?
Well, I think Tri-City kind of proved to be the strongest team out there in the West. And, I mean, if there was going to be a imbalance in the first round, I think everybody kind of looked at that series. Sioux Falls fought to get into the playoff on the last day. And, credit to them, coming off a championship season like they did last year to get to the playoffs is a great achievement. But they were up against it with Tri-City. And I think that first night they just went down early and just kind of chased the game a little bit. And then the second night they got the lead and then just couldn't hang on to it. And so, they lose 2 games in Tri-City, but if you look at their home record, they've been great in their home rink. Obviously, great crowds every night in Sioux Falls. So, Tri-City's got to go there and get one of those. I mean, otherwise they're going home for a Game 5 where, as we know, great goalie like Lekes is in Sioux Falls can win that game on his own.
They always have the adage, and I've heard this time and time again for some reason this year, and it might have to do with the Predators leading the Ducks in the NHL playoffs, but I've heard this, that you're not in trouble until you lose on home ice. So if you look at Tri-City and Lincoln, really you got to say Lincoln's not in trouble until they lose at the ice box. They still have a chance to bring it back for a Game 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's, without a doubt. I mean, they'll have that opportunity, and, but if I just think that you don't want to, if you get that lead, you don't want to let it come down to a Game 5. And so if you have your lead, you have your home ice, you want to take care of it as soon as possible because, one, you're also wearing down your own team quite a bit.
I think, too, you know when you're in trouble and you know when you aren't. There's games if you're down 1-0 and you feel pretty good about things. You're down 2-0, you know what, you feel pretty good about things. There's times you're down 2-0 and you do not feel good about anything. And, again, if it comes back to goaltending or defensive posture, there's times you just don't feel good if you're down 2-0.
No, I absolutely. And looking at, is there adjustments that you can make in game, or if you're at that point, is it just riding out the storm and getting to, say, an intermission or the end of the game and regrouping, or are there adjustments during the game in the playoffs that you can make to not get to that point?
Well, I think it's a combination of everything you said. Sometimes you are just trying to get to an intermission. It could be a mid-period timeout. There's a lot of things you're waiting for and looking for when that momentum's going the wrong way. But, you play that regular season to go through those experiences so that you have that group of guys who have been down by a couple or they've been, outshot badly in a period. And, you've had to respond to it in the past. So that's the great thing about having 60 games together as a unit. You've been through everything, and it's always good to let your leaders kind of help you through it.
Yeah, no doubt. The Green Bay Gamblers and the Lincoln Stars last year ended the season as the 2 worst teams in the USHL. They're both in the playoffs as top seeds in their conferences. I saw a stat that there hasn't been back-to-back champions in the USHL since Tier 1. That's got to say a lot about the parity of this league. Hey, Pat?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this is my 5th year in the league now, and the balance and the respect that every organization has for each other and is incredible. I mean, there's so much scouting work that's gone into it, and that draft makes it a very balanced league, and it's hard to be, exceptional. I think back in the era of before Tier 1 where there was tenders and you could go out and sign whatever players you wanted to, there were certain teams that had a huge advantage. And that's been taken away, and everybody lives by that draft, and teams that draft well and put the services into it are obviously rewarded.
And, Scott, I always look at this as an outsider perspective. Any type of playoffs, you look at it, to get to that championship or to get to the playoffs, it is such a tough road to get to that point. So to enjoy it, it's tough to look at enjoying making the playoffs at this point. But really, realistically, to think that you can get back each and every year to, say, the championship or whatnot. The Green Bay Gamblers have had great teams, including this year. And, there's been times where they've been knocked out of the playoffs. Marco Sicchi's been knocked out, Don Granato, et cetera, et cetera. And John Cooper, it's very tough to get to that pinnacle in any type of league. And you see that in the USHL, you see that in the NHL, and that's why it's such a great thing, too, is because you always see the fans are more than likely going to see a different champion every year because of the parity.
And hockey, that's one reason why I think it's the best game on earth, and the playoffs are so amazing and important is it's a team game, hockey, with 20 players on your team, but there's 20 individual parts to that team. If one individual part isn't working the way it was during the season, everything can go bad. It can be something as simple as, you look at Tampa Bay with Stamkos getting hurt. I guess that's not simple. That's huge. You have to find a way to replace that goal scoring going into the playoffs. So the whole demeanor of the locker room has changed. Everything's changed. But that's why the playoffs are so great. Can those 20 new guys come together to win games? And right now they are. So amazing, amazing game.
And the one thing to the credit to the Gamblers, too, is that I think a lot of good leadership wins championships. I mean, who scored the game-winning goal on Sunday afternoon? That was Sam Saliba, the captain of the Gamblers. On the other side, Dubuque, it was Dallas Girads, who's a veteran of that team. So you look at, what's the driving force to a successful team? It's leadership, like your captain, Sam.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you don't win this time of the year without your best players and your experienced players being on top of their game. And, they're going to play in those crucial situations. And so it's you need them to be strong. I mean, we talked about the goaltending already, but, I mean, you need your leadership and your top players to be going this time of year.
All right, we're going to step out for a break. When we return, we're going to get Gustav Olofsson on the phone. That's coming up. This is Hockey Talk on WNFL.